Yes, people, what's going on? Good evening on this scorching hot show in the UK anyway, and probably is where James is, but like we just said before we went live, he's chilling in his aircon, in his air conditioning, just normal. Came in, press a little button, and it's probably ice. For you, you probably want to turn it off. Probably too cold.
He's got a
But
hoodie
for
on.
the
He's got a hoodie on.
He's got a hoodie on his neck.
Nah,
He's got a hoodie on.
Nah, James, you can't do that to us. That's taking the piss, bro. That's taking the piss. We are baking. Shout out to Alice, shout out to KG, shout out to Dev, shout out to James. Alice, you were just saying your fans got knackered just like not long ago.
Last night, midnight. It was off breaks. Worst time to break. Hottest day as well.
Fully the hottest day. We're talking 34s over here, James. It's hot, man. It's hot, bro. I don't even know what that is in you guys' Fahrenheit thing. That's probably it's like 80 in it. I don't know.
No, it's more than that. No, it's good. It's
more,
in the 90s.
yeah.
You're in the 90s.
Yeah, it's hot, bro. It's hot.
Yeah.
But yes, big up to that's winter in Africa. So yeah, exactly. Big up to each every single one of you, man. This is the red carpet. Of course, make sure you guys smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and remember, it goes without saying, it's always in the link in the video description. Go and show love to everyone's channels. The links are all there. There's no excuses not to be doing that, not to making sure everyone's hitting their targets and their goals, whether that be on the socials or on their channels. Regardless, make sure you guys do it. This is an interesting show because there was a little bit of stuff today. Laurie Whitwell, tier 1 Laurie and that, shout out Laurie, talking about Ollie Watkins and saying that, he's on the list. There's been some conversations whilst they were talking about Rashi and seeing what could be done. And it's nothing more than exploratory talks at the moment, just, seeing a feel for the vibe of what's going on. But some links to Ollie Watkins, man. Who wants to open up the floor with who's liking that list?
I don't mind
Take
Ollie
it
Watkins.
away.
I don't mind Ollie Watkins. I don't think it's a bad striker. I don't think we're in a position to... Well, he's a good player. Sometimes after one season, people change their minds on people. Like, don't get twisted. I'm not saying go crazy and go and get Calvin Lewin or nothing crazy like that for free. I haven't gone to that level. But Ollie Watkins is a good striker. Even I heard these random links on weekend about Ivan Toney and stuff. Not happening, but I would even do that. That's how mad it is, where you're talking Mbeumo, Watkins, Cunha, Bruno. Bruno's in dreamland. Bruno's like, I'm gonna pass the people that know what to do when I send this ball into the front line. So I'm all behind the signing. I don't even think, obviously Gyökeres is like a really good player, but Watkins could work out better in our system in the Premier League. Just saying.
Yeah.
Like it could work out. It could be a really good. He's a good player. He's a really hard working, and it almost, we keep talking about Bastard FC, by that rough spine, that a bit mean, a bit. They're up for it. They're gonna fight and they're gonna play. That's what I'm getting from him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I read this piece way back in February, March, and it's from some account, and they're talking about, calling these strikers these power forwards is what they called them. They give them a new name, like this.
Like basketball, the power forwards.
Yeah. They gave them that, and the reason for it is they're talking about the running that they do, how much they run the channels, how intense they're sprinting. Because you look at the numbers and the intensity of the Premier League is higher than ever. It's gone up. The sprints, the runs, everybody's doing it now. Nobody's playing super slow possession. Everybody's running these days. And it was talking about him. And the guy who was rated the highest on this is Victor Gyökeres. It's what Amorim wants. The striker who's running the channels all day, never stops running, never stops moving. That's what he's best at. And it always interested me looking at it, because the player on their graphs who showed up highest next to Gyökeres was Ollie Watkins. And I was like, that's interesting. That's interesting. And so I kept having him on my mind, and I brought him up in a bunch of videos I did recently saying, United have looked at Ollie Watkins in the past. They tried to sign him a few years back. They've been watching him. They've been keeping an eye on him. There might be a deal here that could work. And he makes a lot of sense if you want to stick with a player who will do some of the things that Victor Gyökeres does as well in terms of his running, in terms of his movement in those channels. But this guy scored the third most goals in the Premier League over the last 5 years. He's not like some nobody. And, you know, between him and Bumo and Cunha, you got 3 of the top 10 goal scorers from last season in the Premier League. I take it. I would take that in a heartbeat.
I agree. I think, you know, people talking about him having a bad season last year, he got 16 goals in the Premier League. Imagine how much our fan base would have creamed if Højlund got 16 goals in the Premier League last season. 16 goals in the squad. Oh my. You know, look, we haven't got prime Ronaldo.
Alice is already hot, man. Chill.
We've got Højlund. What did he get? 4 goals. 4 goals in the league or something like that last season. I tried to give Højlund the backing and support, first season young player, but we can't be turning our nose up at strikers when we've got 4 goals Højlund playing up top. You know, Højlund might be a great player in the future. I believe he will be a really good player in the future, potentially with the right move, the right development, the right environment. But we need someone that's just ready now. You've got Cunha, probably got Mbumo over the line, hopefully this week, fingers crossed. Can it take any longer? I don't know. But I look at Watkins and I go, Ekitike, they're asking for 85 million. That's ridiculous. Like, he wasn't great at PSG. This is his first good season in a while. We've looked at Frankfurt and strikers like Kolomouani, Jovic. They haven't always been the best. You look at the Bundesliga transition as well. Werner. I like Ekitike, but we're not in a position to spend 85 million on a young striker. I think he's a great player, but we're not in that position. We need experience. Victor Gyökeres, the ideal guy. He prefers Arsenal. The striker market isn't good. I don't look at the striker market and name 5 players I'd love at Manchester United. I'm struggling. I'm like, well, Osimhen's the dream, but he probably wants ridiculous wages. Like other than that, I'm like, I don't know where we go. So I look at Ollie Watkins and I think, getting older, Villa maybe looking to sell. If you could get Ollie Watkins for £40 million, he probably might be 45 million. I think that's a good bit of business because you've got Premier League proven, you've got ready now, and hopefully in 2 years' time, we're in a position where the striker market's a lot better and we're in a position where we're a lot more stable, where we could spend 60, 70 million on a young striker again. But I just think we need someone to come in to score goals, is going to make an impact now that is good. You know, people saying bad season, 16 goals. You know, I think you could do a lot worse.
Yeah, I think it does go on to that the bit Alice was just saying about it is price. Like if the price is good, then I think you have to go for it, because this would be Ineos's oldest signing. Like he's going to turn 30 soon, and that is, you know, something that they, as we saw from the Delap deal that fell through or whatever, like that's not their MO. And the deals that they've had so far, even the contracts that we're sewing up so far, like the players that we've been tying down in the academy, we know where their focus is. They're thinking resale value. They're thinking, you know, a long-term nature, but also a bit of a get out clause as well. Because if Watkins doesn't do well, like let's say he doesn't, we're screwed. Like it's just a player that doesn't do well, and you add him onto the long list of players that haven't, and to the ones that are making our already perilous financial situation even worse. But one thing that I do like about it is it fits the same mold as the Mbumo and Cunha signings, where it is Premier League proven, it is all the things that we keep saying, but it also probably does something that those two don't, which is it does light a bit of a fire underneath the players around them. Whereas Cunha and Mbumo, you kind of think, all right, you're coming in, you're going to do this. You might elevate the players around you in, like, you know, neighboring positions, but we know you're the guys that are going to be doing this. Like, we're just here to facilitate you. Whereas Watkins is like, if Xerxes there, and potentially if Højlund stays, it's like, is that someone that Højlund can now actually learn from, which we've all been asking for the past 18 months? Or is it someone that could have the adverse effect on either of them? What that looks like with Højlund, like Alice said, 4 goals. Like, could he get worse? And could his confidence dip even further? Or is he on the way out? So I think there's a few more unknowns with that. But I also don't think Watkins looks like a very happy boy at Villa at the minute. Like I think last season with that, what should have been a partnership with Duran ended up being a bit of a fight for one place. And then he had to fight again for Rashford, and yet he still outplayed both of them. Like I think from his point of view, he's probably thinking, what more can I do to be the leading guy? But the timing for him is really interesting because, and I've said this with a lot of players, the World Cup is next year. So he's probably thinking, you know what? Can a top Villa striker even make it into the England squad? I don't know. Like, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But can a top Man United striker make it into the England squad. Mate, a dead Man United striker makes it into the England squad. So I think it'll be a smart move for him. And I think it's all down to money. Like if we're quoted anywhere near the same prices as Gyökeres or like what Sesko to Arsenal, or even João Pedro has just gone for 50 million to Chelsea. If we're quoted that sort of money for someone who's 29, I'll struggle to palate it. But around the 35-40 mark, I think that's a really good bit of business, because that's what people were saying for Mateta. And out of the two,
I think 50 million. I think 50 million for a player like Watkins is not the worst thing in the world. You have to remember, guys, that I know we do this 30 is a death sentence for players, but it's not. It really isn't. It's literally
not nowadays anyway. Like, no.
You want to be older and you're smarter, better movement, better decision making. You know, like that's what Man United need: calmness, relaxedness in front of goal. You want that kind of thing. And with a striker like a Watkins, it's not the worst thing in the world. I see what the good ones. You know what, Kane, Lewandowski. Now Watkins is not that at all. He's not them, but I would say he's beneath that. But he's a good Premier League striker, and we are just playing Premier League football. I think he'll be a nightmare for I want the person in front of goal to know exactly what they're doing, and they've dealt with the barren spell and overcame that in a season. They know what to do in those moments. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for all this other stuff or this development stuff that turns out to not, like, you sign Ekitike. We need him to be ready. We need him to be able to deal with the burden. You don't want to be saying, I feel really bad for the poor kid. He's out there trying his best and look, nothing's happening for him. I don't want that with our next player. We kind of need some sure type things. Hence why we've liked the likes of the Osimhen's, Osimhen, who else is a striker that you know? Who?
Gyökeres, what are you saying?
Gyökeres, you hope that he's just going to hit the ground running, but just Premier League proven, but done it at a club that's not that great anyway. So they know how to feed off scraps, but it can still
doing it at a team that's better than us. That's what we're forgetting about Watkins is he's playing in a far better team. He's been playing at a high level. He's been playing Champions League. And I think we can get, in terms of the quality of the player, I don't even think there's a discussion to be had.
He's top.
Like we absolutely could not afford to turn your noses off or scoff at, age, or he's at Villa or this, that, and the third. And like you guys have all said, supposedly a bad season. I think it's just a bit of an unsettling season for him. I think he's done his best work when he's been the out-and-out number one guy, untouchable. John Duran starts coming through, kicking down the door, displacing him here and there, earned his starts. Then when he started games, he wasn't as prolific. Then he leaves, but then he sees Rashford sort of swanning in through the door. I just want to get some football, get a smile back on my face. I really do want Barcelona. And, Ollie Watkins said it straight. Fair play to him. He said it in the interviews, didn't he? After games, he was like, yeah, I'll be lying if I wasn't banging down the gaffer's door saying, like, why am I starting games? I've been a big part of, he's been a massive part of helping Villa get to where they were. And then when it got to the big boy games, FA Cups and other games in the Champions League, it was Rashford starting over him, and he's going, what the hell? So he's ambitious. I think he would take that all day long to go to Man United and be the number one striker, regardless of Champions League football. I think he would. And Villa, with PSR issues, well, you say PSR issues, they've agreed to sell their women's team now, which has helped alleviate a lot of that. There's a lot of that sort of stuff going on.
One time, no, it's temporary. It's temporary.
So they've
got squad cost control problems with UEFA though as well. They've got a couple of different issues to solve there.
So they still have stuff they need to address. They always do. I'm always talking to Dan Bardell, obviously my good Villa pal, and he's always talking the things about they might need to do this, they might need to do that, and how difficult it is for them. And I think them and Newcastle, a little bit of Forest as well, but especially them and Newcastle, especially if you watch their fans' content or like you read up on their stuff. They're very upset about how the PSR is essentially killing them. These guys make good money, especially Newcastle United. Can't use it, can't spend it, can't break the wage cap, can't do this, can't do that. Shout out Matty Renton, told me there's only one United. 3 bids in, mate. 3 bids rejected, mate. So I don't know which United he's talking about.
Go there, bro. It's I told
you. Too far, bro.
It's like playing for Utah Jazz. When the kids play Utah Jazz,
Jazz, bro.
Ace, bro. You're just looking, thinking, Jesus, I can't wait for the trade.
Exactly. So there's an opportunity to get Watkins. I do see. Listen, obviously, there was always going to be that pushback. Like there was a lot of people, KG, when you were saying 50 million, a lot of people saying, "Nah, that's too high." Dev was sort of talking about, he doesn't want to go there. I think you would like to think 40 is enough to get him out of there.
Yeah.
You'd like to think that.
Alanga's 40 million himself. Yeah. Alanga's 40 million.
Yeah, but bro, this transfer window is the dumbest. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, bro. Like, let's be real. Joao Pedro for 50, I think Joao Pedro for 50, I think is a very good deal. But like, it's every single thing I've seen in this transfer window is just circumstantial. Like, I'm sorry, Jarell Quansah, decent, but he's not, like, comparing to the other centre backs out there, he's not a 35, 40 million euro defender. But yet, because Wirtz went, it's like, okay, you're facilitating. We all know why that deal made sense. And this buyback of 60, I'll bet everyone and their mums that Liverpool will never activate that buyback clause for 60 million for Jarell Quansah. So I think everything's just circumstantial.
But don't you think, Dev, as well, though, with Watkins, though, the only thing where KG's valuation could come into play. Listen, man, the hardest thing to do in football is hit the back of the net.
Yeah. He gets us top four. He gets us top four with the other guys. He does. He will get us top four with the other guys. That's a good front three. Cunha and Mbeumo Watkins is a big front three. Like, that is one of the better front threes in the league. That gets us top four, but we won't get it without that. I think that's where you got to factor the value in. We're not getting Champions League anytime soon without a striker coming in. No matter what we buy elsewhere, it's not happening because you just won't score the goals to get into the top four. You know that's the toughest thing to do in football. And we've got one game a week. We've got an opportunity to get back a little bit quicker. I'm 100% okay with a little more money for him than you might think if, in that kind of circumstance, 16, 20 goals up front. That's big, man.
I think you have to look at less of sell-on value and all this, like KG saying, ready to go now. The commodities are expensive, right? When you look at gas and oil and coal and these things, they're hard to come by. That's what goals are. Yeah, they're a commodity. They're hard to get. So if you're trying to say, you know what I'm saying? Though, if you're saying, Watkins, 30, flexonomics, bro, it's true. He's going to give you 17 Premier League goals. Like Alice was saying, like, if I'm not going to say the phrase that she said, but but like, it's true though. It's true. If we had a striker who was doing that, right? You got your 16 to 20 goals there. Obviously, hopefully plus in the league. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need, man. I'm having Watkins all day.
When you look at the value in the market, like, if you could get Watkins for 40 million, that's really good business because the value in the market right now is not great. And people talk about, okay, he's turning 30, but I remember, like, when we signed Cavani, people weren't happy. If you look at our best striker signings, Cavani, Ronaldo,
Zlatan for a bit,
years, all in their 30s. Now, look, Watkins isn't quite the level of those players in their prime, but our best striker signings have been players that have come in their 30s. We know that strikers can do it a little bit later on. Like, I think midfielders are the ones that lose their legs the quickest, I seem to find. I think strikers, sometimes they can do quite well. It depends what kind of striker you want. And I'm looking at the value in the market, 50 million rejected for Alanga. Southampton wanted 100 million for Gittins. They're not Gittins, Dibbling. They're going to get nowhere near that. But Jeremy Gittins has got one goal in the last 6 months for Dortmund. Can't even get off the bench for Dortmund. And they've spent 55 million on him, Chelsea. And that brings me a little bit off topic, but I look at Garnacho, and like, Garnacho had a better season last year than Gittins. It's the exact same age. It's Prem proven. If Chelsea are spending 55 million on Gittins, and now we've got Chelsea maybe potentially back in for Garnacho, the Laurie Whitwell was saying something today, maybe United are in a position where they can say to Chelsea, well, he's better than Gittins. He's Premier League proven. We want 60 million. And that would fund Watkins and future business. And, the market's crazy, and we can maybe use that to get a better price for Garnacho.
Chelsea are back in for Alejandro. Let's do the super chats, and because there's a lot, and there's a lot.
Don't forget about the Villa being an opportunity there too, because they've got interest in Garnacho, so there could be a way it works for both clubs to make a deal.
There's a lot happening. Yeah. Jason says, it said in the report that Man United will get a striker. If Højlund leaves, that worries me. So if Højlund stays, we don't get a striker. Yeah, because none of us have spoken about budgets and the exit needed to actually get Watkins. We just spoke about Watkins, the player. Pogba's Hyena says, some fans turning their nose at a striker that had 19 goals and 15 assists in 23-24. The entitlement is stupid sometimes. And Dan A says, remember Arsenal bid 40 million in January and got rejected. They want like 60 mil. At that price, go get Gyökeres, get the players manager wants. Yeah, if it was going north of that and getting into the 60s plus. But as we've seen with Victor Gyökeres, 60 ain't going to be enough, mate. I don't know if you've listened to the sporting director anytime recently, but it ain't going to be no 50 million euros or 60 million plus a few add-ons. It ain't going to be 60 million. So it's going to be more than that. So it's a different price bracket. Dwayne says, African two-man step and Yoga Bonito Wissa is him. No one's talking about Johan Wissa. Go get him. Anonymous Mango, bad name. Says says PSR deal with Villa, Garner to Aston Villa, Ollie to United. And Don F says taking Watkins over Gyökeres or Delat any day. I think it's that Prem proven tax coming in there. Pogba's Hyena says everyone a top level accountant today with their max 40 for Watkins bullshit. Remember that the pen merchant João Pedro is heading to Chelsea for 50 million. Jason says Watkins is average. Yes, he got 16 goals, but he also misses a lot of big chances. Rather get Duran, who is available. Disagree. Again, you're going down that route of someone who's not Prem proven. Duran didn't even start 10 games for Villa, bro. Don't get caught up in the hype. We don't even know what Duran looks like as the main guy. We've never seen it. So you're just literally saying, don't bank on someone you've seen multiple seasons be the main guy, get goals over a kid who burst onto the scene within 6 months and got to move to Saudi and is leaving Saudi, coming back to Europe. Does that make any sense, Jason? Come on, bro. Come on. You're saying Watkins is average, but you're saying Duran, who literally has not started double figures games for Villa, hasn't started that and got a big move. Come on, man. We just got to... And I'm not saying Duran's rubbish, because I'll take Duran... Listen, if there was an opportunity to get Duran on loan, I'm not saying he's rubbish. But I'm talking about Jason sort of... He's saying Watkins is average.
He's not.
We need to go and get Duran. Nah, Watkins is not average. He's Premier League proven. He's not average.
Top.
Yeah. Lil Yo-Yo says, but I'm not saying Duran's rubbish, because I do think he's a good young player as well. Lil Yo-Yo says, Mr. Tier 1 James, please let the panel know about the Gyökeres forfeit. The people need to know. Oh yeah, Lil Yo-Yo was saying something about this on the morning show. He said that you need to do a forfeit. My hair
or something if he signed
Oh, you're not right. Oh no, I've got to get the notepad of accountability out. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, you do.
I was gonna dye my hair red if we got him.
If you get
okay.
Yeah, if we sign him, yeah.
Is that because you're so tier 1? You just know it's definitely not going to happen, so you're going with that one?
No, I just thought it would be fun, but yeah, it's safe bet,
all right.
Isn't it? It feels like safe bet.
Right.
Okay, all right. Or it feels like it's something that you wouldn't mind dyeing your head red for as well.
Could you imagine on tour we just see him with the red hair in the media briefings?
And Gyökeres there as well in the interviews. Gyökeres there thinking, why's that guy got red hair? You'll never know. Dwayne says, you want a Prem striker, you pay more, get him in blood. That's it. You do. You have to pay more. Postman says goals, not coal. Like we did there. Super Arts says with the commodities and all that. Super Arts. Huh?
The Ganacho.
You're so hell-bent on.
Yeah, because we need takers, man. We need takers. Super Arts says Chelsea and Ganacho talks heating up. Where's he gonna? They just got Gittins. Chelsea. Not our problem. Just pay 60, 70. I don't care. Don't care. And I'm Matisse. He's so against that. Please give me that signing. Please.
Yeah.
He really doesn't want Garnacho. Eminem says, since Rashford joined, both him and Watkins got 10 goals and assists each. Both run the channels. I love to have him, but unsure if this system will platform him well. And Dio says, Watkins' style doesn't age well. He's 29. Just don't get it, guys. I'm not really here for the he's too old vibe. David G says, we were going to sell Rashford for 40 million to Villa. They're 100% going to quote us 50 million minimum. They won't do us a favour. Don't want a 29-year-old Watkins. Fair play. All right. And Ahmad says, Watkins isn't just about goals. He is an assist machine as well. Yeah, facts. With Cunha and Mbeumo up front, I see this being a great forward setup. Still prefer Gyökeres. I think that's probably super chat of the evening so far. I think that's fair. If you can get Gyökeres, you'd probably you do that if we can. If you can't, and you're telling me, sorry guys, we tried to make Gyökeres work. It was too volatile with the sporting director and the agent, as Dev always brings up, doesn't like him. You know, we couldn't get him. Here's Ollie Watkins. Thank you. Lovely. No problem. Let's get it cracking. Let's go.
Can I say this though? Man United, like, we do this with these players and we just decide for no reason that the shelf life is finished. Danny Welbeck at 34, played 30 games, got 10 goals, 4 assists. And those are important. Those Brighton goals, he was a problem. I'm not saying go and get Welbeck, but I'm saying him at 34 knows what to do.
And look at the injury record. Look at the record he's
at. Him at 34 managed to find the back of the net and be a problem, because you saw him in most games. Danny Welbeck was dangerous. You're trying to tell me a 30-year-old Watkins just cannot play Premier League football now he's touched 30?
Legs are gone.
How?
And he runs as well. He actually runs. Like, he's quick and strong. He looks after the ball, runs channels.
That don't make sense. That doesn't make any sense. Like, we just doing this.
Danny Welbeck just played the most minutes of his entire career, actually, in the Premier League last season. Yeah. Biggest season ever.
Do you know what's mad about that? You're right, KG. Do you know what's mad about the age thing is, like, if I said to everyone in the panel now, like, let's just go back in time and get the exact version of Cavani that we got that last time, we're snapping their hands off in it. Like, bring that man back the exact way that he was. You say bring him back in his prime, whatever, but the one that we got, the 34-year-old version, we'd all be gassed to have him back. But also, people don't understand, like, people's games change over time. Like, it's not as if you're just going to be the person running the channels and doing all this. Like, we've now got, I keep talking of Burma like we've got him. I think we do, but those two that we're now going to have, they're not just going to stop at one end of the pitch and then just that's it and give it to the striker. They run off. That's been their whole MO since they started in the Premier League, and they kind of roam and do what they have to do. So imagine now someone like a Watkins. Like, this is more like, Watkins is probably the most complete striker that we've been linked with. Everyone else has got a flaw. Like, I would say Duran is raw. We know this. Like, still good young player, but he's raw. Gyökeres, first touch needs to be looked at a little bit. I'm not sure he can hold up as well as people think he can, but he's a great runner. Very physical. Ekitike, almost the opposite. But you're looking at Watkins. I'm like, what's his flaw? And you might say he's not got blistering pace, he's not got this, but then you're saying he's not got things that most players haven't got. When it comes to the actual, I've said this with KG many a time, the fundamentals of goalkeeper when it came to someone like Onana. You need to have the fundamentals there in order to be good. And in the Premier League, you need the fundamentals of goal scoring there. And you look at the depth of goals he scores, the way he scores them, how often he scores them. And I've recently been looking at different strikers for us to be linked with. I also find it interesting how many goals he scores against big teams and in big situations. Like, he's been terrorizing Arsenal pretty much for the entire time that he's been at Villa, and he lives for those kind of occasions. So imagine this is where the intangibles of football come in. Like, you started your career at like Western-super-Mare, you go to Exeter, then Brentford, and then you go to Villa. Like, this is a very logical trajectory to come to Man United. But also, you go from having a few big games at Villa and still the run-of-the-mill ones to every game is massive at Man United. So already you've shown a bit of a knack of scoring in massive goals. Well, now you're going to play for a massive team where everything's going to be analysed, and some players can't live up to that, but I think Cunha and Burma and Watkins definitely can. So you can't directly translate their goals or whatever, because that's just not how it works. But you can think, you know what, it's all about mitigating the circumstances and giving us the best opportunity for success. And these three, if we ended this season with those three and we got a good midfield signer, like an athletic midfielder, hopefully like a different goalkeeper an option as well, that's a good summer. That's a brilliant summer, to be honest.
I've given up on the goalkeeper thing,
We might get somebody, but a goalkeeper, we might get somebody. But Onana leaving has been,
It's just not gonna happen.
The other thing I just want to add is we do have Cheeto Obi Martin coming through. We can't forget about Cheeto Obi. He has shown some serious promise. As a player, they signed young Enzo Canabuic, who's going to go out on loan for a year as well. We got two good young striker prospects coming. So getting somebody that's also not blocking their pathways is not a bad thing. You can, if you played Watkins and Cheeto as the 1-2 over the next couple of seasons, that's not a bad thing. You may not even have to go back to the market if Cheeto turns out how we want him to turn out, but there won't be the pressure on him to do so if we sign someone like Ollie Watkins as well.
And he can learn from them.
It's a player I was looking at in terms of midfield, but I don't know if it's a popular thing or if no one's really excited by it. I don't hate Toby Collier. Like,
I thought he was going to say Ndidi.
No. I'm saying what we have. When you have food at home, I'm looking at Toby, and he started well, came in that big Liverpool game, and then obviously got injured, and he was supposed to kick on this season. But my thing is, well, is he a bad player? Is he someone do we have some talent
I don't think he's a bad player.
Out legs? Does he have a bit about him to play in one of the deep positions in this team? What do you not think? Because I don't think he's a bad player. You know, sometimes you need to look for another one, but then you're like, wait, what if this guy can do it? What if he's got enough?
What are you saying, Alice?
I like him, but I don't like him enough to not sign a midfielder. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like Toby Collier. I'd like to see him given a chance. I'd like to see how he does in the deeper role. I think the opportunity he's had, I remember when we had 10 men and he came on versus Arsenal. Some of the games he had pre-injury, he was good. Amron's brought him off the bench and sometimes even put him as a 10. I'd like to see him deeper, but I think he's got the athleticism. I think there's a decent player there. And I would like to see him have more involvement next season. But I'm definitely like, we have to sign a midfielder. You know, with like Mainu, when we saw Mainu coming through a year, 2 years ago, I was very confident that Mainu was going to step in under Ten Hag and do what he did. Like, I had that belief. Whereas with Collier, I'm not as confident because we haven't seen as much, but I like the guy. We definitely need a midfielder, particularly someone I think is a little bit progressive on the ball. I think we've got a lot of workhorses in a weird way, but I feel like and I know that Amron likes to sort of build out with his centre-backs, but I do feel like I want us to sign a midfielder that's just going to be able to get the ball with their back to goal and play those line-breaking passes and help him build up a little bit more. I think that's important because let's say we have this amazing attack of Watkins and Mbeumo Cunha, which, as mentioned earlier, as James mentioned, very good attack, and actually something I could have seen Fergie doing back in the day, signing the best of the rest. They're very Sir Alex Ferguson type signings. But I feel like we still got to improve how we progress the ball up the pitch and feed those attackers. And I think midfield's so important to that. So I like Toby Collier. I want to see him given more opportunity. I think there's not much said on what Collier's future involves yet. I'm assuming we'll probably get clarity on that in about a month. I think United are just looking at what they can do, who they sell, who's in the midfield market. Because I do think if we sign a midfielder, maybe we let him go out on loan. Are they open to permanent? I'm not sure. I don't think he's up for sale. But I don't think he's 100% safe. I'd like to see him, but we got to get that midfielder in for me.
I think he lives in that grey area, doesn't he? Like that's the awkward thing. He's not a destroyer. Yeah, he's not a destroyer. He's not like a deep lying playmaker. He's not, someone who's going to spray the ball out or do exactly what Alice said we need, which I agree with. Like I've looked at loads of different midfield. Like Hayden Hackney has been mentioned. I know Richard Rios has been mentioned, barring his stupid release clause. But I think with Collier, it's like there's two words that kept on coming out. I don't know where I read it, but like there were two words that in like the lead up of Sir Alex's time there that he'd always look for, like the assistant coaches look for in the academy, and it was positional like control or positional discipline, one of the two. And it's basically like, so exactly what your role is and what you're meant to do. I don't think Collier knows that. And I don't think that's really a dag against him, but it's like, it reminds me of McTominay a little bit. Like people can say now he's a 10. All right, well, he was a striker. He was a 6. He was this, like like Collier is that kind of all action midfielder. So when you need someone to come in and put in a shift, I think he's a good man for that job. But I think there are other players in the academy right now, to be honest, that I would probably put a little bit further ahead of him. Like I think, and well, in terms of who I'd want to see get given more game time, like he doesn't excite me as much as a Jack Morehouse. He doesn't excite me as much as a Sekou Kone. Like these are the types of players where you're talking about, get the ball with your team and doing all this. Like I'm not sure Collier is that guy. And to be honest, it's annoying because if we were run like the Liverpools or whoever, that's a 30-40 million pound player that could just go outside and get us like some good value. But I think there's value in him, and I think I agree with Alice. I think I'd like to see him go on loan if he doesn't feature regularly.
My thing that I have with this squad though is when you start to write their names down on paper, I was looking for the 6-footers, and we are a very shorter team. Like now you add in Mbeumo, add Ahmad, and obviously if Leacher comes back into the fold, you're looking at Man United and you're like, well, where's the height on set pieces? Because we struggled. We was one of the worst set piece teams last season as well. Now that's and I'm known the manager to make changes just to help us in certain games for set piece, like Xerxes starts or whoever. They're trying to the land of the giants. When we play Arsenal, they're 6-footers. Like most of the team, who we picking up, they're one of the most dangerous teams on corners. That's something Man United have to think about. So even now, you think Bruno's not 6 foot. Whoever's playing, Casemiro's quite good in the air. But now that back four, What's going on there? Back three, sorry. What's going on there? Dogu's not the biggest. You got like 2 or 3 in there. Euro's tall, Delit's tall, Maguire. So when I was trying to put the
Heaven's tall as well.
Heaven, that's if you're starting with him. But if you say the starting back 3 for Man United, you're probably gonna put Leacher in there. You're probably gonna put Euro in there, maybe. And I don't know, it's a one of Delit or Maguire. I think he's gonna choose Maguire in those bigger games where he needs to be clear your lines type games. We have an issue. So even that midfielder, the new one they're talking about, Ugarte is not even the tallest as well. What does
I don't think Toby Collier's one of his standout attributes is
I'm not talking
how good he is in the air.
I'm just saying this could be a potential.
You mean the need for that?
You need somebody.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
We need a midfield general.
We're short in terms of
we need
player height.
The same athleticism we're bringing in up front and like physical dominance. We need that in that pivot too. Now, especially now, if we're assuming, because we are assuming, we haven't seen any preseason games yet. We haven't had an eye for. There could be something that really catches us left. Like we just, you know what, right? Bremo's the false 9. You know, it's Bruno and Cunha. I didn't think I would see this. It's Ahmad right wing back and fit. I just didn't know this. Do you know what I mean? It could be. I'll tell you what, it is Xerxes. Xerxes just denied, but then that would be just until we get one, I suppose. But like, I just think there could be something that catches us off. But one thing, what we are assuming is that the obvious thing is that Bruno goes back one. And if Bruno goes back one, listen, he spent a lot of time in various midfield positions all last year. He just proved that I don't care what season it is, how bad it is, what position we are, what position I am, I'll put the numbers on the board. That's what Bruno showed me last year, right? Meanwhile, all of the net negative thing and he's this and he's the biggest problem, he needs to leave, all of the stuff that's going on. All that really happened to me is Bruno just did what he just always does, right? But if we take it that he's playing one backwards, then even more so, we need like a dominant, all-action midfielder who's obviously very good on the ball as well, but that can drive with the ball, has that physical presence that you're saying there, KG, as well, because Bruno, in a pivot with player B, whoever that is, that player B has to be something. Especially when you've got 2 attacking 10s like what Amrin wants in Mbeumo, Cunha, or Xerxes, or whatever the makeup is, where it's Ahmad, they're attacking, straight out attacking. And Bruno's attacking, minded. So I don't think there'll be too many games like against the big boys. Like I don't think we'll rock up Anfield away, Cunha and Mbeumo, Ahmad right wing back, Bruno, and then just one defensive minded. Like I mean, unless we're playing some great stuff, but I just cannot see that. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, Kate. That physicality.
I mean, do bear in mind we got the back 3, right? So you take someone like Maguire stepping up into the middle from the center back. You know, it adds to that physicality in the midfield, and just I think it depends how good we'll get. I think Amram wants to get to a point where we do rock up like that in those big games. You know, and you add someone like Maguire stepping up or Euro stepping into the midfield to give you that extra grit because you've got those 3 center backs. You can use one, you know, to give you that and give you that attack and really go at teams. I mean,
but I think Harry, I don't know that consistently him stepping too high is not a good thing.
No,
he can do it. He can do it sometimes.
He may not be the right guy.
He's not.
But the concept, you know what I mean.
That's
but he's got a year left, isn't it?
I'm excited about Heaven. Aiden Heaven.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the likes of Heaven with Euro and the Delit and the Maguire, because at least, you know, if Maguire's in trouble, Euro and Heaven, they can move, they can get back, they're quick, and they have got that height about them. They're cultured defenders, you would say. So those are the 2 that I'm looking at. But then a lot of people are saying to me, listen, Leach is our strongest defender. Leach is probably one of our best defenders, and Flex, you sent me that video of that Nigerian uncle telling us.
I'm just saying, is that the type of thing that's going on? Is that I was just sending it to you to say, look, this is interesting. Nigerian
so that's please.
But when you look in the comments and people were saying, there's the basic guy that I sent KG this viral video of, like, there was this Nigerian scout, but it was actually real. It wasn't a parody. Yeah, he took this player. He'd been watching these players play in Africa. And I think by the looks of the video, I think they're all quite competent, like decent players. He's a scout. And he's gone, the one thing I'll say is you come here, never play centre-back ever again in your life. Yeah? That's what he says. Not because he's necessarily rubbish. He goes, I'm going to tell you something. In Europe, the average height of the forwards and that, or the centre backs and that, is over 6 foot. How are you? And he brings this other striker and says, how are you, even at your highest point, going to out-jump this guy? How are you going to do it? And I think the comments got a little bit like, well, have you never seen Cannavaro before? Have you never seen Leacher? Have you never seen this? Have you never seen that? But the point of what he's saying is that it's already quite difficult for players from that region to make it. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Usually it's a bit difficult. It's more difficult. You have to excel in so many other areas if you are going to be a small centre back. Is what his point was.
So to the panel, like Alice, who would you lot say is our best centre back at Man United right now? Like in terms of if we go into next season, what do you want to see?
Euro is the only one I want to see starting.
It changes on form, but Euro is, for me, Euro, a lot of it is ceiling and potential, but I think when you look at all-round complete technical ability, physical ability, could play central centre-back, could play wide centre-back. He did really well at left centre-back. I really liked him when he played left centre-back for a bit. I think you'd have to go with Euro because I think when you see certain players and you're just like, he's got it. If United don't ruin him, he can go to the top. And Euro's one of those players. I think he can go to the top.
And who's is that everyone's number one? Euro.
Yeah.
I think he's got the highest ceiling.
He's got everything he needs.
Yeah. I don't feel scared when I'm watching him. That's the biggest compliment I can pay. Like even in the hardest situations, like I don't feel when he's on the ball, I'm like, oh, it's cool. It's Euro. He'll figure something out. He'll do the right thing. And 9 times out of 10 he does. Like on the ball, I think Leacher is. I think Leacher's probably the best line breaking passer that we've got. And I think every single time he's been injured, there's a massive dip. Like I don't think if we had him, we would have, gone into the top half of the table or won the Europa League or whatever. But I think we had a damn sight greater chance if he was there, just because he's so pivotal to that. But Euro, like Alice said, by the way, when Leacher got injured and then Heaven got injured because he was sort of filling in for a bit, like Euro, not even a left-footed player, but he was playing left centre-back and he made it his own and he was brilliant at it. But I can't see the experienced Delict doing that. And definitely Harry Maguire's not doing that. So for this kid to come in and do what he's doing,
we need to be careful with it. Yeah, and we do need to be careful with the kids as well because Aiden Heaven, listen, 1.5 million played by his own admission. Amarim said he was not supposed to play. Yeah, really. Injuries prevailed. Then we've seen that he's good, but he still needs. He still needs to relax.
The first team plays.
First team player, but ready to be one of the main guys, left centre back all year next year straight away. We don't know yet. We have to just chill. We can't, out of desperation, start going like the kid. Like, Lenny Euro. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a little bit more there. We're so coveted. We're going to go Real Madrid. There was, Liverpool interested. It's a bit of a different story. Team of the year in Liga before he came. Like, there's a lot of metrics there where he's been in senior level, even at a young age. Aiden Heaven, I don't think is that. I think we need to slow down with him personally. I think I like him, but I just think we need to just refrain from. Yeah. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be starting 20 games. Now, I still don't think he's going to be that.
I agree. I think he's fantastic. And what we got for 1.5 million is absolutely crazy. But, okay, he almost overachieved to a bit last season. I don't think the plan was for him to come in because he literally got injured like 3 days after we signed him. And obviously he had more of a role. And when he came in, he was fantastic. But it is like he is only 18. There's a reason he was 1.5 million and Euro was 50 million. And hopefully we've got an absolute gem and he could come in and play 20 games next season and, kick Maguire and De Ligt and whoever is out the team if he's that good. That would be insane. But it is, I think, we have this thing where we really hype up a young player because when they first come through, they do really well. Yes. And then the reality sets in. And we said, I remember at one point Brandon Williams was getting ridiculous hype, sell Luke Shaw. Brandon Williams is insane. Sometimes it's just not meant to be. Now, I look at Heaven and I look at his physical ability and his technical ability and how I think he's so suited to Amarin's system. And I think surely this will work. But when you're young players and when you're in an unstable environment, it's difficult. And one of the things I always look back at is something Varane said about being a young player going to Madrid. And he said, when you're a young player at Madrid, you don't have that pressure on you to perform right away. You're not relied upon in the dressing room. You're almost no one in the dressing room. You're just part of it. You listen to everyone above you. You play a little part. You step in when needed. You learn from everyone. He said at Man United, when you're 18, 19, like Maynard Garnacho, all of a sudden, they're massive figures in the Man United dressing rooms. All of a sudden, they're the guys we're relying on. They won us the FA Cup final. And that's not healthy. So I want to be in a position where we see Aiden Heaven next season and he's great and he's doing what he's doing. But I want it to be in a position where we're not reliant on him. Like he's playing because he's good, not because we have to.
He's only started 2 games. He only made 6 appearances in the league. So from that, he ain't even completed 90 minutes for us. Remember, he got injured in that Leicester game. Like, we can't just be like, we haven't even seen him playing a whole game. You know
I like Mazraoui, though. I feel he's going to be an important back 3 centre back for us next season. I think there's going to be a lot of games where you do see him in a back 3 because now Delo's there, Ahmad,
best position.
You don't want to see Mazraoui playing that right wing back thing. You don't want to see that ever again. Now we want to move on. I don't even think Delo will have to share that position with Ahmad potentially.
That's good.
Which is nice. I'm happy about that. But then, so when you think of how you get Mazraoui into this team, which the manager does rely on him, he's like, he plays until he's dead. He's like, Mazraoui's dead again. Like I used him to the maximum. Him, De Ligt, and Yoro, for me at the moment, that's where I see things getting. And he's technical, can play, knows how to calm on the ball as well, press resistant, all these words that people be using, but he actually is that. So I'll be excited to see him in there as well. And
also, there's going to be like a lot of, I think there'll be a lot of switching because Diego Leon coming in, I think it's just probably highly likely. Is it fair to say we'd probably loan him out? I don't know. Would he
Academy? I think he'll be more like Academy, where he'll maybe play with under 21s if he's not ready. But at the same time, I don't know, man. The kid, he's like really
super aggressive in that. Yeah, that's true.
I like him.
He might.
It depends on tour. Sometimes on tour, again, they surprise Aaron when he goes.
Let him look at him.
Look at him. Jeez. But let's just for argument's sake say he'll be in the 21s, the 23s.
But he's a man. I mean, he's a man.
Yeah, he's a brute for 17. He's a brute. He's a brute. But then I think Dalot and Mazraoui, along with Ahmad and Dorgu, Luke Shaw's not going to spend any time in them wing back positions. And
he needs to get that.
He's not going to. He's not going to.
But I think, what about, like we talk about Harry Amas. Like Harry Amas we've always got as well. Like I think, Diego Leon though, like that is the biggest football manager signing ever, innit? Like you just say to your scouts, listen, go over there, bring me the maddest looking brother, like, and let's just have a go. Like, but that sounds mad. But like with
oh shit, I dropped my mic.
But with him though, it's like I like those type of signings because they cannot go wrong. And I think that is, I want to see us do more of that, to be fair. But I agree with what KG said, to be honest. Like, I'm a big fan of De Ligt. I don't know how you guys feel. Like, I think he is an archetypal central centre back. Like, and what by that I mean, just a no nonsense guy that just gets the ball out of there, puts his head where people are scared to put their feet. He is a Man United player. I just do think De Ligt is a very strong player. If he can overcome the niggling injuries, then I think he's a shoo-in for captain after Bruno. If he continues staying and gets better, I do. If he continues staying and he continues on the right trajectory, I think so.
Main man, just every De Ligt. I do like De Ligt.
But it just that, like, I think he's played on the biggest stages for the biggest clubs. He's now at one of the biggest again, and I think he's done really well. Mazraoui, like, he surprised me. I think the availability of Mazraoui has properly surprised me. And Dalot is always available, but I think one thing Dalot has never had is someone to push him. Like Wan-Bissaka didn't push him because they were two completely different styles, and it's like you knew one game you needed Dalot, one game you needed Wan-Bissaka. Whereas it's the same with the left backs, and I think we might have said this a few shows ago, but it was all, not only was there always a drop off in quality from our starter to our reserve player or the second player coming in, it was always a completely different style. Like they were just never the same. You could never be like, you knew this game suits Wan-Bissaka, this game suits Dalot, and it just made sense. So both of them could take their foot off the pedal and not have to do too much about it. But then when I'm seeing like all the other players that we've been linked with, I just want to see, I want that drop off to not be there anymore. Because right now, Collier, you mentioned
it's
before,
so
like
apparent.
If we have to go from Mainu to Collier, geez, do you know what I mean? Like I want that gap to be bridged a lot better than what it has been. So Leon, this is my point with him. Like I think he's bridging the gaps. Players like that, players like Heaven, smart acquisitions that fit the system, fit the manager's thought process. They're going to bridge the gap. Heaven, the fact we're talking about Heaven because of how well he's played is mad. but he's barely played. So
yeah, that's what I mean. He's hardly, his body of work is not big.
No,
he's made 6 Premier League appearances and started 2.
Yeah, Tyler Fredrickson had 2 games, and he's not going to come back. I think we all know he's not going to play again. So and Amas had 3 or 4 towards the end of the season.
Yeah, Harry Amas as well. What happens with him? Does he go out on loan?
He struggled.
You know,
Tyler wasn't ready.
Yeah, he struggled. He wasn't ready, but got thrown in. Didn't have no players. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we got to just be. Yeah, Wolsey was actually very good. But I just the youngsters and also some of the players we have got, it's still a work in progress. I just understand, for me, it's like we're so far off where we need to be. It's just about that stabilization for me. Like, I know, like, you can look at our like backline, like player for player, pound for pound, man for man, and go, would he start for Liverpool? Would he start for Arsenal? Would he start for Man City? Absolutely not. This, that, and the other. So until we can start having those types of conversations, it's more difficult to challenge at the top. But that's not where we are right now. That's not realistic. We're trying to stabilize. We're buying from within the Premier League. I like the links. I just want to, obviously, we want a few more over the line and stuff. But we'll have to wait and see. Guys, just on Alice, her connection went down as well. So she just had to, she's gone. She's gone. But shout out Alice as well. Let's go back to the super chats as well. Actually, first of all, likes wise though, it's not quite as low as what someone put on the screen, but we have
your cheats.
Your cheats. Yeah, we've got just over 2,200 people watching, and we've got 433 likes. It should be that should be a minimum 750 peeps. Big show. We're all getting involved. We're all talking. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of big topics to talk about. So please like up the thing, man. You don't know what to do. Have we read that? Where did I get to, David?
Yeah, you got that one.
Yeah. Nate Dogg. Y'all see the Ndidi release clause? KG seen the Ndidi release clause?
And if Arsenal can do a market opportunity and sign Norgard in his comps, I'm sure we could bring in Ndidi. But how old is he? 29?
28, 29, yeah.
28, 29 for how much? 7-8 million?
9, yeah.
9 million.
So what? Is it better to just keep Collier running around then, or go and get Ndidi?
I don't know. You lot tell me. I mean, market opportunity. They told me Norgard can work at his big age, and they're excited.
Yeah, because he's just replacing Jorginho. But who's Ndidi going to replace?
I'm just saying, they call it strength and depth, right?
But can I ask, like, what actually happened with Ndidi? Because it was only like 2-3 years ago, I swear, where everyone was like, let's go get this guy. And he was like 40, 50 mil. But they got, I swear, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he get relegated with them before? And no one came in for him. And he's been relegated again.
And he came back, yeah. And he's 28 now. And I remember when he was proper sought after under Brendan Rodgers, when they were knocking on the door for Champions League with them consecutive seasons, winning the FA Cup, etc., etc. Like, he has been up there alongside Tielemans when they were in their best form with, Vardy and that. But
I
think people's opinions on midfielders have changed quite a bit, because now you insult players like Ndidi all the time. They're shin kickers now. They used to be destroyers. Now they're shin kickers,
Paulinho's one is the most interesting one I've ever seen ever. Paulinho in one season. Paulinho. Fulham Paulinho. Oh my God. That's how he should be getting. Oh,
now he's terrible. Now he's awful. Nobody wants him.
Guys, can I ask a question to the panel, actually? Is there like a bit of a rogue player that you personally wouldn't mind Man United going for and is like reasonable, but like hasn't really been talked about? Just for you personally think you've seen this player, you think it's a good opportunity, and people might think you're dumb for it, but you're not sure. Because that's with the Ndidi thing. That's where the whole thing started.
Look at KG's brain just doing about this because he can. That's your one, isn't it? Because it could work. All right, cool. All right.
No. My rogue one is crazy because not Danny. My rogue one is crazy because the allegations are mad.
Yeah, you can't bring him in. Yeah, you can't.
I can't bring him in, but it's interesting. Yeah.
I know who you want. It's funny because I would have said Ollie Watkins last week. I kept talking about Ollie Watkins. I was literally saying, we should just get Ollie Watkins. We'll just do a swap with Villa. Let's make this happen. This is a good deal. Otherwise, I don't know. Douglas Luiz, I quite like. Juventus, they're working on Sancho. Douglas Luiz got goals in his games too.
Why are we not talking Douglas Luiz? Like, ain't he quite injury prone? Like, is that
no? Normal? It was just Juventus. He was actually had like no injuries at Aston Villa. It's just weird season last year, though.
But that's the last place he's been. We want to sign an injury-prone player. That is a crap. You might as well get Ndidi. If you're
a risk,
go and get him with the injuries that he's got, and that's a smarter decision. Then that's mental.
I don't think he's really been injured. I think he was just not selected.
Yeah, he just wasn't. I don't think
he just wasn't selected.
He had
like he had a couple
there,
little things, but they just didn't pick him. He just wasn't in the team.
He hasn't worked.
He had like muscle rest for like 4 months or something crazy. Like he wasn't even injured. He was just not selected.
What you got to do is multiply someone's
muscle fatigue.
When they come to our club,
where else do you get fatigue?
Just tired, mate. Out for 10 days.
Tired of not playing.
Ooh, sounds a bit
tired of not playing.
No, but it sounds a bit out of favor. He's gone there.
He was just out of favor.
You know what I'm saying? Take us as a couple. Like you got to put us in the same team. You know what I mean? Didn't work, mate. Do you know what I mean? But let's not forget.
Huh?
They
split up as well.
So trust whatever's going on with him. Look at Mason Mount. Mason Mount came to Man United and said, "Where is the injury table? I'm gonna lay on it."
Don't get me started on that boy. That is pound for pound one of the worst bits of business we've done. Not worst signings, worst bit of business that we've ever done.
But you know what's mad about Mason Mount? In the chaos of the end of last season, it was so shit. We didn't really realize that he stayed fit. he built up fitness towards the end of the season, and started the final. Like he was fit, and he was fit for a little while. But because obviously we were losing all the games, getting ready for the Europa League, we didn't really care. But because he was used sparingly, which obviously we didn't buy him for 60 million and give him the number 7 shirt to come on for 20 minutes, which is essentially how we have to use him now, which is just an effery in itself. But we didn't even realize. It's like, oh, he stayed fit for a little bit, I forgot. But watch, hopefully we don't come back pre-season and then there's mad knocks. If I hit any setbacks, if there's any setbacks coming back from pre-season, man, chilling, relaxing for ages. Every man should be fit because who was injured at the end of last season? Dallo was injured but managed to get back just a bit. De Ligt and Yoro couldn't get back fit, but they should be back. The only man I want to see out, not want to, but I understand, is Leacher. That's the only one. That's it. That should be it. He's the only. Even Luke shook because something happened to him, didn't it? I swear I read after the thing he had to.
Yeah, he had a little thing on the final day. Yeah.
Oh, get out, bro.
We're running out of time, but I quickly want to get you lot's thoughts on this. Just a fast one on players' contracts getting paying players off and just saying piss off. Are you lot for that?
If we can afford to. Sometimes you can't always afford to.
I don't think we can afford to. I don't think we can. I think we will be paying some of them off when we sell them. Anthony, that will pay a little bit off. Jadon Sancho will pay a little bit off. Rashford, if we sell him, we're going to pay him off as well. And that's kind of why the deals are difficult, because we're going to have to get enough to pay them off and not lose a bunch of money on it so that we actually can go sign some other players out of that. It's a challenge, man. They got to go. I know. We all agree they got to go. Everybody's got to go. They can't be on the plane. They can't be here. They got to go one way or another.
Rashford's getting on a plane, though. We have to say that. Lastly, Rashford's traveling because Barcelona are in no damn hurry. So we're going to see Rashford in America.
Surely, no. I don't
yes,
think
we will. Yes, we will.
I don't think they will.
I mean, he was training with the team before he went to Villa. It wasn't like he was kicked out of the club.
Yeah, true. But the way it's come...
I know. The comments and the things since then.
Yeah, I just think they'll think PR does up. We just don't need that around the team this time round when he's definitely leaving. I don't know, but stranger things have happened. Let me get these super chats out and we'll wrap up the show, people. Respect everyone's time. KG, I believe, can't believe.
So yeah, that's the one.
There you go. Yeah, Pogba Hyena says, chat anyone over 29 equals grandfather with 8 grandkids. Dwayne says, free the unks. We can't just have a charity team. Byron says Watkins had 17 goals and 14 assists last season. Shit, and that's a dead season. Jason says, I would sell Collier. Not good enough. Simple. Wow. Larry says, I can't believe KG had a moment considering Ndidi. Even Nigerian Super Eagles fans don't want him starting for us again. KG, never again, please. That's your compatriots saying that,
no,
bro.
God, bro. No, God, bro.
That's the compatriots, bro. Dwayne says, we will get someone on loan for midfield. Ruben is looking for an athletic hybrid, Beliebers, Rice, Barella type. Not cheap at all, which is true. We probably want Prem proven, which again is going to be peas. Semex, thanks for the super chat, says, am I missing something? Wasn't Watkins on the bench for Emery? We went from Delap, Osman, Gyökeres to Watkins, and this isn't an Ineos are too cheap situation. This is a cash flow issue, not an FFP problem. Come on, but this is the point. We're saying he probably shouldn't have been on the bench for Emery. You know what I mean? When it was all said and done, after they did the experiment, Rashford scored 4 goals since he was there in a mixture between up front and on the left, and 2 of them come against Preston. So what? Like, you got to keep context. Red Baron says, small players are often more technical than their larger counterparts. We always complain about lack of technical ability. And CMEX says, don't believe we go for Watkins unless he's less than 35 million. He's never going to be less than 35 million. No chance. Impossible. Dwayne says, that guy got to be good. He's covering for Cunha too. And Red Baron says, aren't we putting way too much pressure on Heaven? We spoke about that a little bit earlier about, trying to keep it mundane with him. Jason says, if Maguire is our starting centre-back next season, that worries me a lot. Squad player at best. And Larry says, I know everyone on the panel, unlike me, rate Ugarte. There's not everyone. Is everyone rate Ugarte?
I like Ugarte.
I like it.
I think he's good.
Okay.
I don't follow the logic of these posts though, because we lost Eriksson. Casemiro's too old. We don't really have a bunch of midfielders.
Yeah, we need exactly. We lost two exactly.
It's not really an indictment either way. I mean, it is what.
Yeah,
it is.
The biggest indictment of him is what we are still looking for. Is that we are still looking for a DM after spending 42 million last summer. Not just good enough on the ball, and even the off the ball is overrated. And Dwayne says our best game was Liverpool 2-2. Blueprint is there. And Larry says Euro in that Europa League final was the only shining light for me. Everyone didn't turn up except him. He looked like the only one that wanted to win, and he was battling back from injury to make that as well. He was incredible. Lil Yo-Yo says, shout out Ollie for signing KG's cousin. And Tavra says, I formally retract my Kev coins on Dorgu.
Oh, you can't do that. Sorry.
It's not allowed, mate. It's in the book of accountability. Runner number 1 says, Carney Chukwuemeka. I think must have been Chukwuemeka is the player that was sort of thinking about it. Yeah.
I like
Chukwuemeka. Good player. Yeah, he's good player.
He's that physical midfielder as well.
Proper physical. Shenanigans says, Ben Jacobs mentioned 3 weeks ago, United are keeping an eye on Indeed as a market opportunity at 9 million. Nobody picked up on the news then. But that's why KG brought it up on the Flexing KG show probably about a couple of weeks ago. It was picked up. Right. We did discuss it. Yeah, we did. Super Arch says, last 3 years, Chelsea gave Brighton 263 million for 4 players. We get Mount and Sancho sent back. I know, it's crazy. Chalaboy, Fermin Lopez, get him in, says Chalaboy Comics. So, yes. Guys, big up, man. Big show. As always, man, there's always stuff to talk about. You know what it is here on United View. Every single Monday, red carpet, 7 p.m. Make sure you check out everyone's channels, KG Reckless Sports. Shout out Dev's YouTube channel and Dev's all his online everywhere. Just everywhereness of Dev. Shout out the Muppeteers. We know where James is as well. Make sure you subscribe to everyone's channels and socials as well. And follow the Football Flex as well if you haven't done so already. And smash a like on this video and subscribe to United View. We are out of here. Morning show, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Transfer View. Hopefully there's a bit of news there. Flexing KG show tomorrow. We'll talk. I'll call you straight after this. We'll talk. That's fine. And then we go from there. But big up to each and every single one of you, man. We're out of here. Take care. Peace.